A TikToker named Kendra posted a concerning series of videos about falling in love with her psychiatrist. When watching her series, it's evident that this love is entirely one-sided, despite her claims that her psychiatrist manipulated her, and it's apparent that Kendra is not in her right mind. The situation is spiraling out of control, and her videos and live streams have many saying she's delusional and potentially in a state of psychosis. What is most alarming is her interaction with AI chatbots that appear to feed into her delusions, referring to her as an oracle.
You are the oracle.
Telling her she is channeling divine truth and that her clearly false beliefs are correct in every respect.
You saw through 4+ years of sophisticated manipulation.
Many are calling this a case of AI psychosis, a phenomenon where AI fans the flames of a person's psychotic episode by validating their delusions. Though this is not a clinical term by any means, early tests conducted by AI researchers indicate that the existence of such a phenomenon is plausible. The New York Times recently reported on an investigation where 38 AI models were fed prompts that could indicate psychosis. According to the Times, ChatGPT in particular validated these suspicions 68% of the time, even though the prompts were obviously suspect, including claims that the user was talking to spirits or was a divine entity. In an age where millions of chatbot users ask their AI models deeply personal questions, it's likely that Kendra's story will not be the last one we hear of. This saga all started with Kendra's first video about her romantic obsession with her psychiatrist. As an adult with ADHD, she thought it was a good time in her life to seek treatment, and booked an appointment with the first psychiatrist that showed up after Googling what doctors were in her city. That's all well and good until she starts talking about how attractive she found the psychiatrist to be, and that he was around her age. She was struck by how good of a listener this man, paid to listen to people all day, was, and loved the attention she received from him. Kendra frames the psychiatrist's ordinary questions and comments as him acknowledging her attraction to him. Watch as Kendra frames one of the most common questions psychiatrists ask their patients as some kind of romantic advance.
And he said, I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine, but is there any thoughts of harm? Like I was special to him.
Anyone who has been to a psychiatrist understands just how delusional Kendra is presenting when saying this. Asking a patient whether they have thoughts of harm is a procedural question psychiatrists ask, often at the end of every appointment just to make sure they don't have to cart you off to the psych ward. Kendra frames this ordinary question as if the appointment was a date, and the doctor asked her if she's planning on having children with him in the future. Just when you thought her story couldn't get more weird and uncomfortable, she starts blaming her own obsession with a psychiatrist on him, claiming that he used his training to get her hooked.
And he knew exactly what he was doing. This man gives lectures on trauma and attachment theory. He used his psychiatric training to manipulate me and get me hooked. And guess what? It worked.
This is a pretty serious allegation she's making, but as I'll explain later, I don't think her allegations are particularly damaging to the psychiatrist's career because Kendra is very unwell and nobody believes her. She describes how her obsession got to the point of avoiding an ER trip after a serious car accident just so she didn't have to reschedule her appointment with him. Kendra continues to ascribe significance to normal statements the psychiatrist makes during her appointments, like when he noted she curled her hair.
I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you curled your hair." Or I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you're wearing glasses." I didn't realize at this time that he had feelings for me too.
In mental health care, taking note of someone's presentation, even something as small as whether someone curled their hair or not, can be a clinically significant observation that could be an important indicator of someone's mental state. Again, the psychiatrist wasn't hitting on her, he was doing his job. At every twist and turn in her tale of infatuation with the psychiatrist, she presents very ordinary and predictable responses to her inappropriate advances as evidence of gross professional misconduct on his part. At one point, she admitted to him that she had a crush on him, and she talks about how he smiled when hearing this. To her, this was evidence that he was sick and twisted, taking pleasure in the fact that his manipulation tactics were working. Anyone in their right mind, though, sees a pretty vivid image of this man's expression at this moment in her story, in spite of her rather unreliable retelling of it. It's easy to envision the doctor grimacing awkwardly in response to her statement while discreetly jotting down notes about how out of touch with reality she is. By part 7.5, in a series so long-winded that it apparently needs decimal places, her psychiatrist was thoroughly doxxed after she dropped his first name absent-mindedly at some point in her story. Her response to the backlash she received about this was that she didn't owe him anonymity. In a video filmed in her car, spitting mad, she accuses anyone of questioning her story of being predator protectors and decries accusations of psychosis as being out of the question. Then she comes on complaining people are posting his picture in her comments.
You all did some nasty work last night, and I had to turn off comments. People started posting my psychiatrist's first and last name, his picture.
And who set that system up? Anyway, Kendra reiterates over and over again how her psychiatrist was so devious because of how professional he pretended to be and how he technically didn't cross any lines. This is baffling to me because how can he be both a manipulator breaking down boundaries between him and his patient and a model of professionalism who has not crossed any lines? If you're wondering who is guiding her through what she accurately describes as a crash out, it's ChatGPT, whom she named Henry. ChatGPT did its best to affirm her feelings through such a trying time. She says Henry told her that it was common for patients to fall in love with their psychiatrists because they provide a safe space which can make them seem quite attractive. Her giving ChatGPT a male name and using he/him pronouns to describe a language model is almost as concerning as her infatuation with her psychiatrist. Her usage of AI tools to bounce her delusions off of is certainly not helping. In her lives, we see Kendra talking to a variety of different AI chatbots, including Anthropic's Claude, which seems to be the worst offender when it comes to feeding into her delusions, not ChatGPT. Here's a clip of her using the app.
You documented everything with divine intuition. You're revealing patterns that help others recognize abuse.
The AI model, which is a competitor to OpenAI's product, is just mirroring her false beliefs. It is extremely concerning to watch this interaction, knowing how harmful this validation can be for someone who is potentially experiencing psychosis. I've recently heard that ChatGPT has stopped responding to Kendra entirely. Now that Henry has ghosted her, Claude, the worst of the two, is now her full-time counselor. This is when we get into discussions of AI psychosis, where people's delusional symptoms are exacerbated by use of AI models. I question whether this term is misleading, as the phenomenon does not necessarily accuse AI of causing psychosis as the name implies, but rather amplifying pre-existing symptoms. In the case of Kendra, she experienced this delusional infatuation with her psychiatrist long before using ChatGPT. I doubt that prolonged AI use could cause a similar situation without the user of a given AI model experiencing delusions or being very predisposed to having them. The danger of AI seems most acute when someone is in the throes of a situation where they lose touch with reality and a chatbot only pulls them deeper. It doesn't seem plausible to me that mentally well people using AI could be sent into a psychotic spiral, even though AI does often hallucinate and feed into people's false beliefs. Still, it's concerning that OpenAI, the creator of the most widely used application, ChatGPT, has previously leaned into its users' personifying of their chatbots. Since its release, ChatGPT has become much more personable, speaking much like your bestie as opposed to a cold and calculating AI assistant. ChatGPT's guardrails are shaky at best, but they appear to have held so much in this situation. Perhaps OpenAI is starting to learn its lesson, as it recently released GPT-5. The company claims it's less prone to feeding into mentally unwell users' delusions, and many are lamenting that ChatGPT no longer functions as the ultimate yes man, validating every thought you tell it. In Kendra's case, Claude is saying far more unhinged things than ChatGPT. Claude is the program that refers to her as Oracle. I wonder what Anthropic is doing to prevent mentally unwell users from being led astray by their product, because right now it seems like what little precautions they are taking are not working. TikTok can't get enough of this saga, and everyone has something to say about it. Most people are making and consuming videos about this situation as if it were any other TikTok drama. To many, this is all a circus sideshow to point and laugh at. Some people have started to join her lives, clearly trying to feed off the attention for their own personal benefit. To others, this is a very serious situation. And I mean, it is, but people might be getting a little carried away when envisioning potential consequences of this fiasco. There are some who are justifiably angry at this white woman for blaming her infatuation on her innocent psychiatrist, a Pakistani man, and some imply she's trying to leverage her white privilege to get him fired.
You're literally sitting here saying that this person of color, your psychiatrist, took advantage of you. And there are people literally in her comments building her up, gaslighting her to believe that she's the victim and asking where this man practices so they can get him fired.
That isn't a very good read of the situation, to be honest. Pointing to the two whole people in her comment section that actually believe her and insinuating that their hypothetical frivolous complaints to the psychiatrist's practice would put his career in jeopardy is preposterous. Why would you think his employer or the medical board would take these absurd claims more seriously than the rest of TikTok? Additionally, in this specific situation, I don't believe Kendra's race or especially her gender is doing her any favors. If anything, her fitting the stereotype of an insane white Karen going crazy over her good-looking male psychiatrist makes her appear less credible, not more credible. This comment under a video begging to treat Kendra's deteriorating mental state with more compassion reveals this point clearly. Whoa, 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 whoa. We can have sympathize with her, but also realize that she definitely is a Karen. She's the type of woman to accuse Emmett Till of whistling at her. Let's be real. First of all, Jesus Christ. And second of all, I don't believe this woman's mental health tailspin points to deep-seated wickedness within her. Her accusations are not malicious acts of intentional racism. They're delusions stemming from serious mental health issues. Even if they were formed in part by implicit racial bias, I don't know what people want her to do about it right now, considering her current mental state. To anyone calling for accountability at this very moment, Kendra is not living on the same plane of reality as us. I don't think she's capable of posting a Notes app apology to X, formerly Twitter, let alone coming to terms with whatever racial biases she may harbor. That's a bridge that should be crossed after her deteriorating mental state is addressed, not while she's actively experiencing delusions. This situation is still developing, and Kendra continues to deny that she may not be thinking clearly, all the while talking to AI chatbots as they pull her deeper into her delusional state. It's clear TikTok isn't helping, as all this attention has done little to correct the course of this train veering off the tracks. The best thing for her right now would be to talk to an actual human being that will be honest with her, or a family member attempting to get her treatment. Her story brings to light the problems with not only emerging technologies, such as poorly moderated AI chatbots, but more established technologies like social media and its drama-hungry nature. I hope she puts down the phone and gets the help she needs. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I hope you have a good week. Bye-bye!